Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a novel that is just as shocking and just as controversial now as it was over a century ago. Thomas Hardy's Jude the Obscure.
Yeah, let's dive right in. This book is not some dusty old classic you read in school and forgot about. No, it's been called a raw nerve in English literature for a reason. It gets right into these really painful, timeless questions about our lives, our ambitions, and the societies we build around ourselves.
So, a shockingly modern tragedy. To really get a handle on just how powerful this book is, we've got to start right where Hardy starts, with the central idea, the thesis he lays out for us from the get-go. This is literally the key to the whole story.
And here it is, this tiny little phrase taken right from the Bible, "The letter killeth." It sounds simple, right? But this phrase is the master key that unlocks the entire tragedy of our main character, Jude Fawley. It's really the first layer of his complete and utter downfall.
The letter versus the spirit. So, what does that even mean? The letter killeth. Well, what Hardy does is set up this absolutely brutal conflict between two forces that are constantly at war with each other. And these forces don't just define Jude's life. You'll see they echo in our own lives too. Okay, so it's really a tale of two forces. On one side, you've got the letter. Think of this as all the cold, rigid rules of society. We're talking about institutions, laws, dogma, basically the dead code that's supposed to run our lives. And then on the other side, you have the spirit. And that's us. It's our messy, vibrant human desires. It's our instinct to be free, to be authentic, to love who we want to love. And for Jude, believe me, these are not just some abstract ideas. The letter shows up as these very real, very concrete barriers that just systematically crush his dreams. You have the marriage certificate, which traps him in these loveless relationships. Then there's the university syllabus, which is basically a rule book designed to keep a poor stonemason like him out. And of course, there's the moral code of his time, which absolutely condemns him for daring to live an authentic life with Sue Bridehead, the woman he truly loves. And so, this is what it all boils down to. The dead letter inevitably kills the living spirit. That's the first major tragic layer of the novel. It's this idea that a society built on dead, inflexible rules will always end up destroying the vibrant, living spirit of the actual people living in it. It's just a relentless, brutal, head-on collision.
All right, next up, desire's self-destructive fire. But here's the thing. This is where the story gets way more complicated. Because, you see, Jude isn't just a victim of society. He's also a victim of himself. Hardy throws in this second, much more personal layer to the tragedy, and it's a gut punch.
So the novel starts asking this really tough question. Is that spirit, our human desire, is it always a force for good? I mean, what happens when those very desires, that inner fire, becomes a blaze that just consumes us from the inside out?
To really wrap our heads around Jude's internal struggle, it's actually super helpful to look at this ancient Hindu myth, the myth of Bhasmasur. The story goes, this guy was granted the power to destroy anything he touched. An incredible gift, right? But his own desires got so overwhelming that he ended up turning that power on himself, leading to his own tragic self-destruction. And Jude's story, it's almost a perfect parallel. His intense passion for love and knowledge, it's a powerful gift, right? A boon, you could call it. But that exact same passion morphs into this obsessive, self-destructive force. It's like an enslavement that leaves him totally vulnerable. And in the end, it just completely consumes him. Okay, on to our final layer, Jude's existential dilemma. Because this is where everything builds into something so profound, it's what makes this novel feel like it could have been written yesterday, not over a century ago.
See, this is why the book is so much more than just social criticism. It's what you might call a proto-existential novel. What makes it so shockingly prophetic is that Hardy wasn't just taking a shot at Victorian England. No, he was way ahead of his time. He was tapping into the anxieties that would define the 20th century, that feeling of being utterly alone in a universe that just doesn't care.
And to really get this, we need a quick definition of a key idea from the philosopher Albert Camus, the absurd. So what is it? Well, it's that fundamental conflict between us, humans, constantly searching for meaning and purpose, and a universe that just meets our search with silent indifference. It's that feeling you get when you shout into the void looking for answers, and all you get back is a cold, empty silence. Jude's entire life is a perfect, heartbreaking portrait of the absurd. Think about it. He is constantly looking for meaning in all the big institutions of his society, the university, marriage, religion, and what does he get back? Nothing but a cold, silent no. His desperate cry to find his place in the world is met with this massive, monolithic indifference. His life is just like that myth of Sisyphus. He's always pushing that boulder up the hill, only to watch it roll right back down again and again.
In his struggle, it perfectly reflects our own modern condition, doesn't it? The isolated individual, stripped of all the old traditional supports, just trying to carve out an identity in a world full of dead laws. He's up against this crushing institutional indifference, and that's something so many of us can still feel today.
Ultimately, this is where the novel's incredible, lasting power comes from. It's a profound and bleak exploration of the modern condition, because it shows an individual desperately searching for meaning, for purpose, for connection, and finding absolutely nothing. It is just a devastating portrait of what it can feel like to be human in a world that seems completely unfeeling.
And all of this leaves us with a really challenging thought, doesn't it? Our world is still full of rigid rules, of these letters. So the question is, how do we live by the Spirit? How do we pursue our passions and live an authentic life without getting completely destroyed, either by society's codes on the outside or by the fire of our own overwhelming desires on the inside? That is the burning question that Jude the Obscure leaves us with even today.